And Bonds hits one high. It's a dig. It is out of here. This is caught. Diggs. Sideline. Touchdown. Unbelievable. Bryant for the win. Bang. Watch out. He's got getting away from the top speed.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another SGN video where it's all sim all the time. Today's video we are bringing you some updated sliders for NBA 2K25. Now there's a caveat to these sliders, alright? You guys know I'm partnered up with Celtic LG, so the sliders that I make are designed to go with his attention to detail roster. That's the first thing. However, if you don't use his specific attention to detail roster, you either want to use 2K default or someone else's custom roster. I know there's a lot of them out there. I'm going to show you the main things you guys need to do to use these sliders with another slider, whether it's 2K default or another slider creator. So we're going to go through that. I'm going to go through a couple things covering the sliders, some changes you might need to make, or depending on the scenario you run into. I'm just going to give you some information that is going to be prevalent to having a great slider experience, and then of course we'll get you the slider set up for you guys to get rolling with this gameplay as well. So before we get started though, thank you for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas if you celebrate. Hopefully great holiday, as this is the 26th of December that we are making this video. And also like this video if you could. It really helps me out. Also, if you are new, subscribe to the channel. Really helps me out. We are getting real close to 16,000 subscribers. Would be tough, but we could definitely hit that by the end of the year. So if you subscribe to this channel, I would really appreciate it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and dive into a couple things. Like I said, I updated these sliders to work with Celtics new update, right? And excuse me, and the big update that he made was he did a global edit for player tendencies. So all you have to do is, if you're not using Celtics roster, or you are using 2K default, or you're using some other person's roster, you want to keep doing that, okay, you're missing out. I highly suggest you go to Celtic. But the main thing you need to do is go to touches tendency and set this all to 50. This is very easily done. You just globally edit the whole column, lower everyone all the way down to 0, and then raise it back up to 50, and that's it. You're done. That's the main thing you need to do. If you've already got a MyNBA going with Celtics original file, that's the main thing that you would need to do on your existing file. Now, the big update that I made to the sliders is to go with the touch tendency. Made a couple other tweaks as well. We'll dive into that. Now, depending on what you're doing for MyNBA, you guys know I got MyNBA sliders out there. I never dropped an official MyNBA video because I kind of thought it was pointless. You guys could download the opening night scenario that I dropped, MyNBA Reborn, and literally just go in there and save the MyNBA files and then just upload it as needed when you create a new one. So Celtic did drop a new scenario, start today's scenario, a couple days ago. That information you're going to want to go into his Discord. He dropped it in my Discord as well. He also dropped it on X, so I'll let you guys search out his information for that if you want a new start to date. Anyway, couple things I highly recommend you guys go through and do to help improve your gameplay experience. Number one is, before you pick your team or after you pick your team, okay, you're going to go through and you're going to notice that the help defense, we're going to go ahead and select all the teams here real quick. You're going to notice that, oh my god, I'm perfect. You're going to notice that the coaching game plans, the run play frequency and the help defense, 75-80 for the 76ers. If we switch over to the Bucks, 75-80. Every single team is 75-80. I personally do not recommend going above 65 for help defense. I really recommend having every team set between 40 and 65. And what I would tell you, and how you determine this, is the better defensive teams probably don't need to help defense as much, right? So I would tell you the better defensive teams lower, hover around 40, 45, and some of the worst teams when it comes to defense raise it up to like around 60, 65. Run plays frequency, again, I like variables in this as well, but I think the spread on this needs to be a little bit different than just having everything at 80. I think you're going to have some of your teams with superstars, like a Celtics. I would have their run plays frequency. I like the spread on run plays between 60 and 90. That's where I like the spread. And so teams that have a lot of ISO ball players, they shoot a lot of threes, whatever, they're not doing too much, I would do like a 60 run plays. But then some of the teams without maybe a bona fide superstar, like the Portland Trailblazers, they don't or the Utah Jazz, something like, as an example, the Washington Wizards, things like that, get them to run plays more up at 90, because obviously they need to run plays more often to generate good looks, whereas the teams with the top players, like the Mavericks with Luka and Kyrie, those guys can go create their own shots and they can get buckets almost at will. Suns got KD and Devin Booker. The Celtics have Tatum and Brown, and you understand what I'm trying to get at, right? So I would recommend scaling this between 60 and 90. That's just my recommendation. And help defense, like I said, 40 and 65. Again, my recommendation, if you don't want to do this, it takes about 5 minutes to do all the teams. Totally up to you. And again, there's no real guideline, or no specific, it's just user preference. And that's just the guide that I wanted to give you guys. So you got the first two things set up, right? We got the touch tendencies need to be at 50, and then some of the coaching edits I recommend for help defense and run plays. Now we're going to go and we're going to talk about some sliders. So let's go to the CPU and user slider section, and I already have everything loaded in here. This is what we're going to talk about. Slider sets are not one size fit all. We all know that. Everyone has a different skill level as far as how they play. Their team talent level is different. Their basketball knowledge and execution is different. Stick skill is different, right? So it's impossible to drop a one slider set fits all. But what we can do is drop a really, really good base for you to enjoy and make tweaks as necessary. This is designed to be played on broadcast cam first and foremost. So if you go and play on 2K cam, it's already going to be easy. You can see the whole court. You can see what the CPU is doing defensively, offensively. So you really have to buff the heck out of the CPU to make 2K cam feel challenging. And I try to make it play realistically. And so that's why we're on broadcast camera. Just keep that in mind. We're also on real player percentage. We'll go over that here in a moment. The slider set here, what I want to talk to you guys, the big thing I want to talk to you guys about is shot percentages. Okay, so we know that in the NBA now, the three-point shot has continued to make its presence felt with the amount of threes taken year over year. It continues to go up. Right now in the NBA, the average three-point shot attempts per game is 34, with the bare minimum being the Denver Nuggets at 31. To keep in mind, the Denver Nuggets this year, lowest in the league shooting threes, are shooting more threes than the freaking Warriors of 73 and 9 with Clay and Steph. That's how much the three balls changed. One thing I've noticed when players drop, screen caps of their end game and the user has maybe a higher shot percentage, they're shooting 20, 23 threes. Y'all, you gotta shoot threes, man. You gotta replicate NBA basketball. I understand we as a user want to hunt. We want to attack the basket. We want to post up. We want to take mid-range, whatever. I get that. But if you do that and you do not shoot at least the 31 threes that are averaged a night in the, or 34 honestly, but the bare minimum of 31 a game, you're going to have higher shot percentages. It's just straight up. So you got to make sure you're getting your three balls. Get your three ball up. Number two, rather than adjust the shot success sliders, I feel like they're in a really good spot. I really do. What I would instead recommend is if you're shooting 35, 34, 36 threes, and you're still shooting a little too well, well then I would highly recommend you go to these layup and jump shot strength sliders. These impact the user. So when you change this under the user, it's going to impact you. When you change it for the CPU, it impacts the CPU. So the release is going to be the one that's important, because that's going to be your chance of making it based off of the coverage when you release a shot. So this is going to go hand in hand with our shot coverage slider setup here, which we have set to the shot coverage impact is at 30. But if we play with these, that's going to have an impact too. For example, if you drop jump shot defense strength on release way down, if you flip-flop these, your shot percentages go way up, because the release, the strength on release wouldn't be as strong. So right now we're at 25-75. If you are shooting too well, make sure you look at your shot charts and see, is it outside the paint or is it inside the paint? Inside the paint, really increase these. Go like an 80-20. Increase your release more than takeoff. Takeoff isn't nearly as important. It's the release. So I would go like an 80-20. Try to keep it balanced out a little bit, right? 85-15, etc. If you're shooting too high from mid-range from 3, here you go. Do the jump shot ones. Increase the release, lower the gather. That's the main one. And the same thing with the CPU. CPU is shooting a little too high. Pay attention to where it's at. If it's mid-range or 3, just do a little tweak here. That's the main thing you guys should really be looking at. Everything else is honestly in a really good spot. Turnovers. A lot of people question turnovers. They're hit or miss, y'all. Like, 2K is really hard to get turnovers because they don't have the normal turnovers you have in an NBA game, with the ball just being passed out of bounds, guys stepping out of bounds a lot. They don't have a lot of that, the natural turnovers. So we can't really build a slider set with turnovers replicating real life numbers unless you jack up the steals. Steals and turnovers are two completely different things. Steals result in turnovers, so if you have a steal, you're going to have a turnover. But you can have a turnover without a steal, if that makes sense. So that's why it's like, don't focus on that so much. Everything else here, we're pretty good. I will tell you, if you feel like you are if you are able to get to the hoop too easily and you want some resistance, this is your key right here, the strength slider. So if you as a user get into the hoop a little too easy, you're going to want to raise the CPU strength. Now keep in mind, this is going to impact something else. Raising the CPU strength is also going to increase their screen effectiveness, so keep that in mind. I mean, they're going to get over screen, or they're going to set stronger screens. They're going to have more open shots. So I would go slowly with this as you raise it if you are getting to the hoop unrealistically too easy. Everything else here, guys, is pretty set. The one big one that I will talk to you guys about is the offensive awareness slider. Earlier this year, we had it jacked up pretty high. I have been playing with it lower. I dropped a details video with it lower. I personally really enjoy how the CPU plays with it lower. I think they play more unpredictably. I think they show more personality, and I think you see some more lifelike tendencies pop out when the awareness is lower. When the awareness is higher, which is an option, if you don't like it, if you play it at 20, you don't like it, jack this up to like 85, 90, okay? The CPU becomes more of a machine. They run plays more, they branch out. They're very fundamentally sound. They execute much better. And so the offensive success rate doesn't change too much. I think they are harder to stop when it's raised up higher, just because they're so much more fundamentally sound. You'll see some worse shots being taken with it lower. I also feel like the ball distribution is better with it lower. However, it's a user preference thing. So what I please recommend you do, try a couple games with offensive awareness at 20. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, jack this up the CPU, put it up to 85 or 90, and then you're going to want to compensate. If you raise it up with the user defensive awareness, you're going to want to have it matched. So we're currently at 80 for defensive awareness for user. If you bump CPU offensive awareness to 85, put this at 85. If you go up to 90, put this to 90. Match it. That's what I'll say. Match it if you're going to raise it up there. You kind of have to. Otherwise, there's not much else here we really need to worry about. You could, if you want to try to get a couple more steals, a couple more turnovers, you could do your play passing lanes, go for on-ball steals. Again, though, you're going to create more steals, which do create more turnovers, but you don't want to have too many steals that falls out of line of what's real. But everything else here, guys, is treat this as a base. If you want a couple more fouls, hey, there's a shooting foul slider. Jack it up. Tweak this as you need. You know, that's kind of it. We're gonna go ahead, before I give you the slider information to download this, I will go to the controller settings. Like I said, we are on real player percentage. That is a must. Do not use these with shot timing. Number one, they weren't created for it, so I don't know what your success rate's going to look like. Number two, shot timing is great for online, my career, but for franchise mode, no. You can time a guy's shot. You're going to be way better than him than you realistically should be once you use it. Real player percentage will keep things very realistic. It also lets you focus on executing and playing the game of basketball and then just getting a good shot and letting the players' ratings play out. Everything else here is pretty much user preference, but I did want to just go ahead and mention that this is my passing profile I get asked about pretty often. I do recommend playing on broadcast cam having all the camera options as camera relative. That does make a very big difference. Unfortunately, if you go play my career, you're going to want to switch this back to absolute. Otherwise, guys, that is it. And then live on this video, I'm going to upload this file for you guys right now. I'm going to we're going to save this right now. As you guys can see, we did have official release 1 to work with Celtics opening night. I am going to leave that there. I am going to upload. This is going to be official release 2. Again, because you can use this with Celtic, you can use it with someone else's roster, you can use it with 2K default for whatever reason if you're playing on that. But you just need to make sure you have the touch tendencies. That makes a huge difference in getting good ball distribution. And then the reason I'm on the lower offensive awareness for the CPU as well, I feel like you might get much better shot distribution with that as well, as far as spreading it out to the players instead of having one guy always shoot 30. I don't need to put release on there twice. All right, here we go. Official release 2. We are uploading it. We're going to save and share it. And in case you missed it there, this is how you're going to download it. You are going to search. You can either search official release 2 and it should pop up, or this is my gamer tag, Simgamingnetwork. You can go ahead and grab official release 2 and download it, use it in your current file. Otherwise, guys, that is it for this video. I really hope you appreciate this content. I know 2K, my NBA is kind of falling off. It's not the mode it was once. It's kind of led me to not create as much content for it because I'm having so much more fun in college football and Madden. But we're still here. We are still doing some work for NBA 2K. And I really hope you guys appreciate this content and try to have a good experience in your my NBAs. With that being said, y'all, that's it for this one. Stay tuned to the next one.